Do you know what it's like to really know what's happening in the world and to not be caught up in this diversion, this distraction that is mainline politics and news? To know? I mean, I was reading the last OPEC emergency conference a few weeks ago, and I was watching it today at the office, and I was watching it here at the local station I broadcast out of across the country and the world. I got C-SPAN on right now. Bill Clinton's on, but earlier I was reading the closed captioning, and they were talking about it's not our fault, we're not making higher profits, the dollar's been devalued, you say you don't want us to move away from dollar-denominated oil. You don't want us to move away from dollar-denominated oil, but you're devaluing the dollar. And so there it is in the OPEC summit, emergency summit, but you'll never hear that on our news. Never, never, never. And I have to hear people. You know, I went on vacation a few days to the Texas beach, and I had to hear people next to me on a fishing boat talking about why oil was so expensive. And I had to, all for the wrong reasons. And I had to hear people out by the pool at the hotel talking about it. And I had to just hear the idiocy. And I would try to tell them, well, no, the dollar's been devalued. That's why. And they would, huh? My dollar isn't devalued. I'm a millionaire. I got $1 million. I'm a millionaire. My money isn't devalued. My investments. You see, they're like children. They think because they say something, it changes reality. A few weeks ago, I had a guy call in, and he goes, how dare you say Israel has nukes? You're not allowed to say that. And I said, well, are you denying they have nukes? And he's like, well, no, they're allowed to have nukes. But you shouldn't talk about how they have nukes. Just because our media lies to us here and talks to us like we're children when it's admitted in all the weapons journals and all the foreign press and Israel admits they have nukes, we're not allowed to say it here in the U.S. I mean, we are really pathetic. And I know I said I'd get into torture. But that's what blows me away is that I'm not even that smart, and I figured out how all this works. I stay up late at night reading government white papers, RAND corporations, Department of Defense, the Ministry of Defense, British, government 10-year projections. And they say they're going to put us in camps, they're going to microchip us, they're going to sterilize us, they're going to enslave us. They may use neutron bombs on Western cities to control us. They say if we try to take back Washington, they're going to neutron bomb us. I mean, this is published. This isn't even declassified. And the British say we work for the global elite, and we'll use neutron weapons on our own population if they try to overthrow our system. I have to read Dick Cheney in the PNAC document, September 20th, 2000, say that they want to use race weapons to kill certain races. And then I have to get up on the air, and I always get an email when I mention it going, prove that, you liar. It's been in the London Guardian, the Associated Press, and in Dick Cheney's own prospectus he put out. It was a prospectus. He put it out to the elite saying, I want to implement this. We'll stage terror attacks. We'll get our police state in. Then we can go into the next phase. And then we have to have a debate about this? You think it's fun, me getting up on the radio because they don't have total control? They don't have total control. I'm on the air. I get on a few stations here and there, and I'm on the air telling you who they are. You think I like that? You think I like risking my life? You think I like spooks threatening me and following me and trying to set me up? You think this is fun? This is life and death, and you're like a bunch of children. I don't mean my mainline listeners, but the people tuning in for the first time. I think George Bush is great, and he's a great American. If you don't like it, get out of this country. And you go, but he's not a real conservative. Oh, shut up, liberal. Well, no, I'm a real conservative. Bush isn't. Well, you just need to get out of here. But no, the greatest, patriotism is to defend your Bill of Rights and Constitution, but to criticize corrupt politicians. Patriotism isn't mindlessly not asking questions and following orders. And they'll say right back to you, yes, it is. Do you know what that mindset brings on to a society? Do you know what that means? I have to see all these well-meaning liberals, just like the well-meaning conservatives follow Bush, all in love with Barack Obama, believing all of his, quote, change. And then you hear his change. It's socialized health care, total control of your life. To carry out eugenics. That's why they want socialized health care. It is just greenhouse gas taxes to micromanage every facet of your life and their own admissions. A tax on breathing. And it's the same thing with McCain. notice you got the NFL, Pat Robertson, McCain, all the conservative, icons coming out saying, pass the global tax. That's the global government. Look, I'll get into torture when we get back. Then we'll take calls. Then I'll get into energy next hour. I got a lot of news here. Plus, there's a bunch of disinfo articles in Time Magazine I want to go over. We'll be back. Big 9/11 announcement either late tonight or tomorrow on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Huge info. We'll be right back. It's only been good to get fake confessions, false confessions, for political persecution. Good for the Nazis, good for the Soviets, good for the Communist Chinese, good for the Inquisitors. They want to torture you to get false confessions. It's only good for that. Remember, the North Koreans did it. The Vietnamese did it. The Vietnamese communists. The bad guys do this. But before 9/11, I would read in law enforcement magazines. What is it? Law Enforcement, Weapons, and Technology. I'm in a 7-Eleven. Remember in 2000, something said, buy that magazine. I picked it up, flip it open, and it says torturing people is good. It says if you have a ticking time bomb and you don't know if it's going to go off in a shopping mall, and if you torture this person, it'll get answers. Go ahead and torture them. It's good. And then it said, what if there's anthrax and it's about to go off and kill a bunch of people? Do you torture a child in front of their parents? And then I would see other propaganda pieces put out to the police and military saying, we've got to get rid of posse comitatus, the law barring the military from engaging the American people. Well, the military kills people and breaks things. Police were supposed to be peace officers. But see, now they've basically recruited out of the military into law enforcement. They've turned the police into paramilitary forces. All over the country, they're now just coming in people's houses without warrants, saying it's a safety check. They're doing knock-and talks, demanding to see your guns, arresting. I mean, folks, it's all over. They're taking blood without warrants on the side of the road from Texas to Indiana. I mean, it's just, they're going wild. It's happening everywhere. The feds are paying grants to do this. This is all done incrementally. Incrementally training as torture is good. Incrementally training as attacking a country that hasn't attacked you is good. Incrementally training you. I'm getting hundreds of emails, calls, people I know, no criminal record, are going in to buy 22 rifles, handguns, and they're told, sorry, there's a waiting period. You're going to get a visit from police first to question you about why you want the gun. It's getting you used to police being in your backyard, police being at your door, interfacing with them, having them ask you questions. The cops are being trained right now. I mean, it's classic tyranny. There's a formula. And the criminals that run our government trained over 100 nations in this formula of how to torture, how to infiltrate the society, how to train people for secret police. It's now happening. Global corporations use this nation in the last 60 years as their muscle, the last 100 plus in the Western Hemisphere, to, as Marine Corps two-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner, General Smedley Butler, General. He was in line to be the Marine Corps Commandant. They tried to hire him to overthrow the U.S. Bush's grandfather did, President's father, Bush Sr.'s father. That came out in congressional hearings. They said, we want to overthrow. We're working with Hitler. We want to overthrow the U.S. You're a right-winger. You've overthrown over 100 countries. You've been involved in it. We want you to overthrow the U.S. with 500,000 troops. We're going to militarize the police. And he said, yes, I'll do it, long enough to go to the meetings with the Nazi agents and Bush's grandfather. I mean, I got the congressional hearings. I have the newsreels. But don't think that means if we get Bush out of office, we're saved. These people don't play games. And they wrap themselves in the flag. And a lot of you are right-wing and think Nazis are cool. Folks, the Nazis robbed a lot of Germans. They robbed a lot of people in that country. They ruined the country because they wanted to have an empire. It's always the same. The average person just wants to live their life. The elite wants more power, more control, and they're not going to stop until they get it. They're not going to stop. Your life means nothing to them. The tyrannies is for the general public. It's not for Alex Jones or the Muslims. They just beta test and get you to acquiesce to violating people's rights in the name of persecuting a minority. That's part of the formulae. And then it's used on you. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in a warrantless checkpoint covering, and I've got video of cops in Police State 2000, and I say, you're here running a warrantless checkpoint. I said, you didn't do this just a few years ago. And they said, yeah, but it's a federal grant, and we're just following orders. And then now they're taking your blood without a warrant. Very invasive on the side of the street. But see, we're just following orders. And I've got a big stack of articles here where people wake up with cops in their house because they leave their door open, not locked, even in the countryside. And they're suddenly in your house and, this gun looks illegal, we're going to arrest you. And see, it always sounds like it's a good reason. They know how to sell you, and the average cop doesn't know they're part of something large and evil. Like in North Korea, they have, for 50-plus years, big paintings of police running checkpoints, police checking papers, pictures of the leaders. Well, now, all over the U.S., huge billboards on the sides of skyscrapers showing cops pulling you over, giving you a ticket.